That predates the United States of America by a couple of thousand years. Right, Moses? And this 1619 project, this absolute, incredible, utter nonsense of trying to indoctrinate our young people to believe that we have this original sin, starting in 1619 when the slave trade was first brought to what is now the United States. By the way, those slave traders were black. How do you think the Africans got from Africa? It was fellow Africans that were moving and trading the Africans from Africa to various countries around the world. It wasn't white people. The white people were, yes, buying them, but the original sin lies in Africa, does it not, Chuck Schumer? But more than anything, the ignorance from Chuck Schumer is abounding. You look at the Declaration of Independence, the genius of the Declaration of Independence that was proffered by Thomas Jefferson. That set a ticking time bomb in motion that was going to explode and get rid of slavery at some point. All men are created equal. You cannot have something like slavery in a society when you have a founding document that says all men are created equal. They couldn't address the issue in 1787 when they were coming up, the framers of the Constitution were coming up with the founding document, the governing document that we now call the United States Constitution. They couldn't address it because they were not going to be able to hold all 13 colonies together. So they tabled it. But they knew, James Madison knew, they all knew that at some point the United States, if it was to form, would redress the issue of slavery. And that is the genius of our founders, and that is the genius of our founding document. They let it ride for, what, about 50, 60 years until, of course, the Civil War, which ultimately brought an end to slavery. But it is our founding documents that ended slavery. The war was the pinnacle, but the foundation was laid by the founding documents and the genius of the founders. Roll tape.
And to clarify for all generations that the men who defended it shall hold no place of honor in our nation's history books.
Stop tape. Speaking of history books, this weekend it was Father Junipero in San Francisco, a statue under which I grew up in San Francisco. I know that statue, yanked down. Father Junipero did not cause genocide among the Indians in California when he was establishing 9 out of 21 missions up the coast of what we now call California, parts of Mexico and into California. He was their friend. He gave them jobs. He gave them a life. He gave them Christianity. He gave them love. He treated them like his children. If he had children, he treated them like his children. He did not wipe them out. Same thing for Christopher Columbus. Yes, the New World did bring new diseases to this continent, and that did have an effect on many indigenous tribes, unfortunately, but this is what happens as people migrate around the world, and we're seeing it right now with the Wuhan coronavirus. This is what happens. Father Junipero is a saint, and it was Pope Francis, of all people, the liberal Pope Francis, who canonized Father Junipero. And Christopher Columbus, the greatest singular impact on the history of the world than any other person who walked the planet. And I exclude Jesus, of course, because he was more than a human being. So imagine if a group of Americans started a petition to seek the removal of the Barack Obama statue in Rapid City. Imagine how the left would call all of them racist. That's because this bet to erase history is not reversible. It's not a fair, equitable proposition. It only flows one direction, and that is veering toward an inevitable societal destiny called the decline of a culture.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.